Helloing, my ladies and longs, and yet again, a modern video game on John's channel must be a dry spell in the well of my finances. But that won't really even matter because we've got a short video on our hands here today. And the topic of today's little video is the latest entry into Ubisoft's cash cow that got milked so much it can only now practically supply powder. And that's none other than Assassin's Creed. In this video's case, Assassin's Creed Shadows, the game where Ubisoft looked at Ghost of Tsushima, realized they should have done this setting an entire decade ago, and pissed this one out as soon as they could. Now that might seem a bit harsh, but yes, it completely was, but I hope at the very least you giggled of my use of crude 4th grade language. Assassin's Creed Shadows is far from the unrecommendable trash heap that a lot of people online would have you believe, but it's yet another example of this being a series that is severely lacking in basic innovation. What do I mean by that exactly? Well, if you've played any Assassin's Creed game from Assassin's Creed Origins back in 2017 to Mirage in 2023, then Assassin's Creed Shadows just doesn't do enough to warrant its $70 price tag, or if you were smart with your money like me, getting it on Ubisoft Plus. But even then, I just don't outright think that this game is really all too much worth your time. And another thing I'm rather curious about, why the hell did we go back to the over-bloated map with more activity markers than our players for Payday 3, 100-hour-long campaigns with credits that take 2 hours? What did Kojima mean by this? When one of the main goals of Mirage was to bring the series back to square one like the first couple of games in the series. I heard it's something along the lines that people didn't really like Mirage all too much, but that's what the comments are for, right? I hope you guys are able to supply me with enough information so I can see why that would be. Any case, what's the whole gist with Assassin's Creed Shadows? Well, the easiest way I can describe it is that it's Assassin's Creed, but Japanese. So this entry at the very least can entirely be marketed solely towards weebs. And besides the game's abundant amount of controversies, to needing to be delayed, to getting leaked a month in advance, which I will not be going over because there are more qualified channels on YouTube that can do that for me, and I personally just don't really care. That is all the game truly boils down to. If you've played any of the recent Assassin's Creed games like Odyssey, Valhalla, you'll know exactly what you're getting yourself into with only a few bells and whistles to make the game stand out from its predecessors. The main one in Assassin's Creed Shadows being the addition of two main playable characters, namely Yasuke and Naue. Yasuke being the big beef with him being able to make short work of larger groups of enemies, where Naue is more agile, meaning that she's the closest thing to the series' main gameplay style. But what I absolutely adore is how the game's pacing seems to put one character over the other for a large chunk of the game. And what I mean by that is for the first 30 minutes of the game, you're placed in the shoes of Yasuke, but then upon switching to Naue, I shit you not, it took me close to 9 hours before I got to the end of the first act where you're freely able to switch between them. Which I found kinda strange, but hey, better late than never, I suppose. But other additions to gameplay include stuff like Naue's grappling hook, which you can swing and climb from, but can only unfortunately be launched to vertical objects, so overall is kinda limited. Don't assume that this is gonna be a replacement to your grappling hook in the Arkham games. And probably the biggest addition to pure gameplay is the ability to go prone and sneak like you're a guy trapped in Russia killing his own mother. Something that I thought was a rather cool addition to the game was the base building mechanic, where you can go around the game's world collecting materials and head back to your homestead to build different kinds of areas that'll benefit you in certain ways, as well as being able to hire different people like scouts and different allies to gather resources for you, or can summon them to help you during trickier fights. It kind of feels like a Assassin's Creed version of something like Metal Gear Solid 5's Mother Base, if that's a good comparison, or like the base building and stuff that you could do in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. The only other notable addition to the game is the ability to change the season, which to my knowledge did nothing. I don't even really think I noticed a visual change, so I have no idea why this was included and what benefit it serves besides visual, if even that. But regardless of these new additions, the main gameplay style still goes like this. Explore massive map, climb buildings to uncover more of said maps, you can lock fast travel to go to these places faster. Fall into hay bale, talk to NPC for mission, run to mission, sneak or commit fun, get XP and mission rewards so you can level up, so you can acquire more skills in this skill tree, or so that you don't get one-shotted by a malnourished villager with the stick. Rinse, repeat, the cycle continues. Can you see the problem here? It's literally a copy and paste gameplay loop with a few bells and whistles to create the added illusion of innovation. But I don't believe in illusions, so you're fucked with me. But the real reason why I say that this isn't a completely unrecommendable piece of shit is because if this is a gameplay loop that you fuck with, then you'll have a shit ton of fun. And I, for one, am one of those people because I have standards as low as the Marianas Trench. But I personally do enjoy the idea of exploring these massive worlds packed to the brim with shit to find, sneaking around places a la Metal Gear Solid 5, and I think the combat is really fun, where instead of it being Arkham-light like the old games, now it utilizes my favorite type of combat, like needing to parry, dodge, and attack at the right moments to take out a shit ton of the opposition. And I mean, this game is still a visual marvel, and it's really interesting to see how these time periods are brought to life in each of these entries. Except now you can climb on Zeus's penis! There are some other interesting things scattered throughout the game's world, like needing to sneak close to animals so that you can paint them because there was no Instagram or Facebook in feudal Japan, silly. There was only Live Leak. And there's some other additional missions that you can take part in where you go through flashbacks so you can learn more about the game's story that I believe unlocks more cool shit in the skill tree, but I didn't really bother all too much with that. So if you're like me and you vibe with this kind of a gameplay style, then you can bet your ass that this is a game that could be right up your alley. But that doesn't excuse the fact that this is just rehashed content from prior games, only put in a different setting. And it doesn't really do too much different to justify its $70 price tag. The best way how I can describe these games is that they're just like junk food. Something that you can pop on for a few hours, have some fun, but beyond that, there's nothing too much to them. It doesn't also really help the fact that with this game's feudal Japan setting, it's not gonna escape the comparisons to Ghost of Tsushima. Only though with Ghost of Tsushima, you're getting a much better art style, way more in-depth and unique combat, a way more compelling narrative, a much more dense world to explore that doesn't feel like bloated padding, and since the game came out half a decade ago, the game is gonna set you back a fraction of Shadow's price, even if you're considering the re-releases. So if you like the setting but want something more unique, then just go for Ghost. Hell, there's even other games that use this exact setting and takes its own spin on it. There are games like Nioh, Trek to Yomi, and Sekiro. So if you don't care about the whole open world game thing, you still have great alternatives. So my final thoughts on Assassin's Creed Shadows is I think it's a good game at its core, but based off of the price tag and lack of originality, I think that you should steer clear from this game or wait for a price drop, or just rather take a look at some of the alternatives I've just mentioned. So all in all, I guess that I would personally so far give this game a 7 out of 10. I'm not sure how much I'm still gonna keep pushing myself to play it, but I think I've experienced enough for the time being as it is. So in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, become a Patreon or a channel member. Special thanks to top tier Patreon supporter Mr. Aftonboy. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. But before that, watch my fucking Tony Hawk video.